Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Relationship Wednesdays. I'm so glad to have you with us this morning.
I feel like you were looking at the viewers to make sure they're looking at you.
No. I was like, can you see me? Can you see me see you?
Are you with us?
But guys, welcome back. Our topic today is, should you stay in a broken relationship for the sake of your kids? And having joined us just now is Jade Gishuri. She is a lot of things.
Yes.
She is a pastor, she is a mom, she's an author of the book, The Heart is Not So Smart. And you're also a mediator, she's a counselor. Oh my God. What else? Have I left something out?
I'm a sister.
Ah, you're a sister.
Daughter.
Okay.
Many
And we
things.
still have Anton with us. He is
A parent.
a parent
Yes.
in a beautiful marriage, actually. And Jade is out of her marriage.
Yes, I'm
She
divorced.
done left.
Yes, and then we have Philip, who is our counselor today. So we have two counselors. Get the bio right, okay? Okay, so before you joined us, we were all over about whether you should stay for the sake of kids, but you chose to leave your marriage. Do you want to give us a recap on that?
Well, yes, yeah. So I think I love the topic. Let me just say, because it's one which we never really discuss so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, because it's especially in the being a Christian and all. But I left quite some years back, and one of the reasons is that the marriage had deteriorated quite a bit. I mean, not quite a bit, from emotional to physical. We had done many mistakes which ended up to a physical situation, and I chose life. I think that's. But when I left, I wasn't leaving to end the marriage. I just went and ended the marriage. But being the question, should I have stayed for the children?
No.
Did you at some point think about it, like, if I leave, then what?
Yeah, especially when the relationship was starting to become very difficult.
Yeah, in fact, I stayed for the longest time
Okay.
because one reason because of the children, but not the solely reason.
Right.
I do believe there's a place to stay, to put the children into consideration, but they should not be the solely reason you stay in a broken and damaged and challenging relationship.
Right.
Yeah, they can't be the only thing you hold on to. Yeah, so at some point, yes, I hung on. I mean, I didn't want to be divorced. Neither did I want to end my marriage.
Yeah.
And I also did want my children to grow up without a dad.
Right.
Because
Oh, yeah.
both ways, whether in a broken or outside, the children still get affected.
Yeah.
That's
They still
true.
thoroughly get affected.
So do you co-parent effectively?
So we didn't co-parent. My ex-husband was actually, he never has been part of our lives for 14 years now.
Wow.
So yeah.
How long was the marriage prior?
Wow. Maybe we were together 10 years.
Okay.
Wow.
And your
Big-
kids were like around how old when the marriage was ending?
I'm a mother of 3.
Okay.
I have a 20-year-old, and the twins are turning 17 this year.
That's so cute.
Oh, they're wonderful children. Wonderful.
Shout out to the kids.
But I left when the twins were 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
want to ask you about
Yeah.
that. That's why I wanted to get the
Yeah.
specific age
Yeah.
of children. And Anthony, you offer to this as well. Is it's frank and honest, of course, when people are thinking about leaving marriage. When they have children that are quite young,
Yeah.
then people tend to stay longer.
Yeah.
So like obviously maybe you're still breastfeeding your child and you're like, "Bruh, where am I gonna go? Also maybe right now I'm not working, if you're still
Yeah.
on, maternity leave or whatever.
Yeah.
And then some people stay in marriages and like when the kids are a bit older and they can understand,
Yeah.
then I'll show mocha.
Yeah.
So for you, with your twins being 3 years old, what was that experience like for you in reaching the end? And then also you can tell us about the age bracket that happens with kids.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what level of toxicity, is it really worth it to stay if but also now when your kids are so small, what do you do?
I think every situation is different.
Yeah.
I really do believe you can't blanket it on age,
Okay.
because every situation, there's a place where I've encountered, as I said, being a pastor, also done counseling. I actually don't believe people should divorce.
Right.
I think really it's from a selfish place in most cases if you rush into it, because you can learn to forgive each other and make it work.
Right.
But most of the times, I mean, it also happens, like some of us, before that knowledge checks in, or because of the situation that you're faced with, you have no choice but to leave. So at the age of, let's say for example, when my twins when I left and the twins were young, is because I could see they were getting affected.
Right.
And my oldest are about 6 years old. You know, it's so interesting. Last night, I know my son is watching, I told him what I'm coming to talk. And we talked about this fact. We really stayed up late talking about why I left, how I left. Because a big thing since the day I left, I have processed it with my children, according to every age.
Right.
So that to ensure there's, I mean, they will still be affected, but to minimize the damage, because either way, there was trauma in living.
Yeah.
So choosing to live when they were younger is because I could see the fear that the firstborn already had, and I could see what my daughter was already getting into. And it displayed itself. In the first 1 year of living, we could see a complete change in all my 3 children. Negative and positive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Negative and the twins, the girl bubbled up. The boy got very angry. Very angry with the change. I mean, he was causing chaos in the estate. Yeah, where we moved here. And then the oldest moved from towards the number last towards number 1 in school. Left my skirts and went in front. So you can't say these are one way, because I've also seen where you need to stay. Yes. But for me, I say there's a place to just take a step back, especially where there's violence, to allow a healing process.
Right.
Because sometimes it's hard to heal when you're in it.
Yes.
So it's safer. So I used to tell my children, if I may say so, when we left, because we had conversation. We used to have a meeting every first Saturday of the month about it, about our lives, the changes. And I'll tell them, I chose to raise you. I didn't put it on their dad. I just said, for the sake of sanity, I need to be well and to be a good parent.
Yeah.
This is the route. Yeah, I think it is really different for different people. Yeah.
Anthony, how long have you been married for?
9.
9 years. Congrats. Hey, you're about to hit that decade.
Just about to
Just about to hit that decade. She talks about patience.
Right.
When things are going wrong in the marriage, patience, even to forgive each other, even if you want to step away for a little while. Have you had experience for that? Would you advise people when things are getting difficult, that's the best pace to take? Because she thinks she learned much later.
Right. I guess there is no one who comes into a relationship with a desire to divorce.
That's true.
Right. No, that's
So
true.
they're there, I mean, knowing that, I mean, they're going to the very end.
Yeah.
So, and things happen. I guess it gets to a point where you'd rather have your children have parents,
Yep.
you know, staying away
Yeah.
than having no parents
Yeah.
at all, because they kill each other.
Yeah.
So, but I strongly also believe that, and I'm glad that some of us can learn from
Yeah.
other people who've gone ahead of us. Patience, I think, it's very key. We need to work with each other, and you know, just keep working it out and making sure that you find help.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys, because you're therapists, you know, seeking help is very key,
It's very key.
especially when things are not going
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I also think there are situations where, and I've had conversations with people who said, I almost died in there. If I didn't leave, then I would have lost my life.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point, especially when it comes to physical abuse, you know, verbal abuse, infidelity on certain levels. It's very key just to take a break and find help as well. So patience is very key.
Right.
You need
To
work
answer
with
my
it.
question.
Yes. to
You're
answer
like,
your
let's coming back to Susan.
to answer your question, but there has to be a desire to compromise from
Right, from all the parties involved.
from all
That's
the
true.
parties.
That's true.
I have to you know, compromise on this aspect. She has to compromise on the other aspect.
Yeah.
Our marriage was started on day 1 when we came from honeymoon,
Yeah.
and the first year was a mess. We came home. You know, after the wedding, there were these guys who were supposed to bring the gifts to the house and leave, but they did not leave. Some are relatives, some are
Oh
brothers,
no, that's the worst.
and some of them were even sleeping in our bed. So my wife was thinking, what's happening?
What is this? What is this I got
Respect.
into?
Oh my
Yeah. So that's an opportunity for you to already, escalate
war
and
with
say,
each other.
we
That's
can't
true.
do this
I
thing.
can find some patience.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
patience, I think, starts from right there.
Yeah.
But there has to be a desire. I will not be selfish. I will pull back so that you win,
Right.
and vice versa.
Is that a tip you would give couples that are about to get married? Maybe stay till all your gifts are in the house. Alafu ufunge nyumba. Then now you can go on your honeymoon.
Oh yeah, please don't allow them to
Don't
go.
give relatives
Yes,
that job
take
and
the
then
gifts
soon.
elsewhere. You'll pick them.
So that's a tip.
a good one.
I wanted to understand, when Jade was talking about the kids growing up, so you have a boy and a daughter, a son and a daughter in this case.
Yeah.
And maybe, I'd want to think as a son, you'd want to grow up having your dad as your role model. And as a daughter, I'd like to grow up having my mom as my role model.
Yeah.
Right.
But then here you are, these kids are going through trauma because of everything they've seen, when it's emotional abuse to physical abuse, and then now the divorce. It's like trauma after trauma after trauma for these kids.
Yeah.
How do you counteract that?
Wow, I think we don't have like a tailor-made skill for that. But what you can do is look at the kids in their individuality. We are all individuals, yeah? So I will work with the son. For example, you said your son is the one who was causing chaos in the estate. Of course, they are not happy because it's not the ideal. When a child comes in the family, they are hoping for ideal. You go to your neighbors, there's dad, you go to school, dad and mom are together, but then here you have mom alone. So maybe that's the way he was externalizing the reactions, And then, of course, your daughter also picked up. So I think he's looking at the child because there's several traumas. So working with them on individual levels and even with the daughters, that's what I'll do. So just go through with them. How has this affected you? I'm very happy that you made a choice, You said you spent time with them, took a lot of time explaining to them what they are going through, and that kind of like gave them some sense of security, because what scares the kids mostly is this insecure situation. How is life going to be? Where will we live? School, friends, and things like that. But you are there, you are constant in their life, and you are explaining and taking time, even up to last night, just explaining with them, to them. I think that's very helpful. And also sometimes, because you find in these situations, for example, if you have boys, it's very important that you get a man who can work with them. Will not replace the dad, but at least somebody who can mentor them. Because then we have men who are brought up by their mothers who do not understand some of the dynamics that having a father in the marriage brings. So you get maybe an uncle or a shosho, a grandfather who can be able to work with them. It's very important. Yeah.
Jed, were you already a counselor by the time all
No,
this was
I
happening?
wasn't really. If that's the interesting bit. I think my past, which is when I talk about the book, has
You get
led
there.
me there. Has led me to wanting to share what the Lord has allowed me to learn and how I've grown about it. And so I wasn't a counselor then. And so even looking back, I find that the grace of God gave me a lot of wisdom in the processing of the children, which now I find it's a thing everyone, if you choose to stay, let's say, you're a mother who decides you want to stay, you must also process your children because they are still in a very dysfunctional, challenging place.
Right.
So they still need to hear you, who is making the choice, helping process what's happening.
Yeah.
So as he was saying, now with my children, one of the things, apart from the meetings and talking, I also seeked help. It might not have been through counseling earlier on, but more so that I spent a lot of time processing my own emotions so that I also don't land them on my children. Because there's a place where you live when you're that broken, your anger and bitterness can take root and you really do affect your children.
Right.
So I also spend a lot of time with, I have very good friends and I used to exhaust them with my same conversation. And then I have great parents. I have amazing parents. I think my mom has had me over and over and over, and so I had a great support system. I moved nearer home, so that allowed me to be able to get better, in order to be a better mom for my kids. Because you cannot pour into them if you're not feeling okay. So I like that even as you're looking for help for, like now I'd say to someone, get help even counseling, get the professional one, so that even for the children, also they can get counseling. So they are doing the journey together of the healing. Yeah, because either way the effects are there.
Yeah. Maybe something I can add. It's I think you have to be proactive. So if there are people who are in this kind of relationship, don't wait for the kids to begin to show those signs that they are not doing okay. You have to be proactive. You have to take them for therapy, even if they look fine. Just tell them, okay, I want you to have a one-on-one chat with a psychologist or a therapist, and then you can do 1 or 2 sessions, and then the psychologist will advise you, oh, the kid is doing fine. So I think that's really important. Proactivity.
But then again, when you've done all the work, you've taken them through counseling, you talk to them, you walk with them, which is really beautiful. There's this saying that goes, you guys are counselors, so you're going to tell me whether this is true, that we grow up and attract relationships like the ones we grew up in. So does it mean if my parents separated, I'm 100% likely to get into a relationship and fall out of it?
And be like, but they what to talk?
I'd be like, imagine.
And my mother made it.
She's fine. Look at me, I'm great.
A very good question. I was just sharing some, I don't know where, just the other day. My daughter, after one of my son's circumcision last, so she's like, oh, when this happens to my son, I'll have to take them to, now she said her brothers. I looked at her, and your husband will be where? She's like, oh yeah, I'll have a husband. As in, it's a conscious, you're very right.
Because it's your environment.
It's not, so it's the environment they're growing in, and by God's grace is not as bad, like they don't think it's such an awful place, I'll be running to a man. So it's an intentionality of the parent who's at home with them. Even when you're co-parenting, you must agree to have intentional conversations. Don't assume. I think the big thing parents do, just let me tell you, don't assume that your child knows it. They know it, but you're the primary person to help them unpack what they know.
Right.
So even when you're in a home where things are happening, let's say there's what could be, what did I hear you guys talk about? Alcoholism at some point? So let's say there's a home where there's major alcoholism taking place, and your kids are seeing 4, 5, 6, 8-year-old is actually knowing whether it's a mom who comes at the wee hours every day, and every day they hear some noise. They actually know, and fear checks in. The number one thing with kids, fear checks in. Because as you said, they start feeling now security is nini. So you're still not saying we are leaving. The marriage is not ending because challenges are there. No one is perfect.
That's true.
But there's a place to call your child and say, things A, B, and C is happening, age appropriate. And if you don't know, then you get the help.
You ask a professional.
You ask for help, because you must help them.
Well, as human beings, we like feeling that we're special. We do different things. Like, look at us. We're all wearing different colors. We wear different things and feel like you're special. But we also generally want to be a part of something. So, like, you guys have you're both parents. You guys are both counselors. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, you guys are the hosts. We are the mediators in the situation.
Yes, you are.
You will not mediate us. But there's a very big reason people stay in marriages and people like playing it down is the societal thing. I'm not part of something. I'm part of a marriage. I'm part of the married people when we go out there. I have a family. And it's a very big reason for people to stay in a marriage. It's played down. It's people always like physical abuse, but people have that. They're just like, I can't leave because I'm this person and this is how I'm presented to society. What would you guys, especially as a counselor, how do you usually talk somebody through that if maybe their situation is looking like the kids are not in a safe space?
In a safe space, and they are staying because of the societal expectation.
Yeah, when they're outside of the house, they look a certain way and they like that presentation.
Of course, I've come across cases like that of people who are putting up, there's that face you have to put up,
a facade.
We are together, a facade, we are together, and, things like that. But deep down, they are hurting, and, the thing is really broken. So I think for me, the thing will be to tell them, hey, guys, you need to be real. Be real and, make a decision.
Right.
The decision does not mean that you have to leave. Is why, if you want to bow down to this societal expectation, then make sure that your marriage is working. So that means you go and seek help, find a way how you can address the issues that are there, because at some point it will spill out. You can't keep it for long. Yeah, you can't keep it for long.
I know we're talking about broken relationships, but then Anthony, you're in a beautiful marriage. What are the
He's like,
things? Yeah, he's like, am I? So when it comes to, I mean, good marriages and good families, quote unquote, I don't even know what
we need to have we need to have a show for good marriages because I feel like tunaongeanga tu mashida hapa.
So here is the thing, when they have kids, are there steps they need to take to make sure that, again, they end up like their parents, or there's nothing to talk about good families? Like, they're good, we don't touch on them.
There's no once a month meeting. Ni wazuri, go for the prosper.
Like, does it mean, as a counselor, do you think it means good families are just okay, you don't need to talk to your kids, just watch what you're doing?
As long as you're not fighting.
No, good families, great families are created or founded on great communication.
Right.
So it's a thing that you should do, whether you're a single parent, whether you're both of you are parenting together. You create visions with your children. So you have places where I really would encourage all couples to sit down and say, New Year, it's a new year. As a family, what are you, you know, how are we praying? My younger brother, I mean, you've met him.
Right.
He has a room, a prayer room. And I remember the first time when there were all these prayers they have with their children. They have small kids, but they have taught them to go to a prayer room where they do together, and they have conversation in the prayer room. Then you pray together. So
now that's a great family.
Is not and is not perfect.
Right.
I'm sure they have domes, but the challenges have to be there. But the thing, I think for me, great families is founded on love, but then you must ground it. And that's why I wrote The Heart is All Smart. You must ground the feelings of love and everything on values, you know, on systems, on structures of family, so that you have that thriving, great family. Yeah, you must ground it somewhere.
But then again,
maybe leave there.
Do you sit your kids down and tell them, okay, so what you have here is a perfect family. This is a good family.
Yeah.
But we have families where mother and father are separated, the kids have to choose a parent. Is that a conversation we need generally to have with our children?
I think it's important, especially the society we're in.
Yeah.
My children were a bit tormented initially, when not tormented is a huge word, let me not say tormented. It's just that I feel like they were tormented. But when they came out, and then the school system is still drawing perfect family, father, mother.
Yeah.
Then in that class, half of them are single moms. Some have never
experienced
experienced a father in the home, leave alone the ones who are divorced or separated. So the kids come home, so are we not a family? So we have to go through all this conversation. Then I have to go to the school and tell the teacher, Bana, kuna vile. The families are many different.
They're diverse.
God's way was father, mother. But sin, of course, being human, we have distorted it. It doesn't change the way God wanted families to be in. So which also mean for me, who is a single mom, I do not remove my children from spaces where couples are there. So we are in families. They're aware. We visit people, we hang out with people, we do holidays when I have overcome myself. So that they also see that there is families out. And I also tell them ours is because I made a mistake. I talk about how as parents we failed them. So it's not the accepted. I'm not telling them it's not the ideal thing.
Right.
So we must be conscious to do that.
Yeah. Anthony, do you have conversations with your children about maybe how other kids' home situations may be? Ama umesikia leo utasema, leo kuna meeting.
They're still young.
Yeah.
But
How old are they?
So we have a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
sorry, 7-year-old,
Yeah.
5-year-old, and 2-year-old.
Oh, nice.
So their conversations we've already started,
Yeah.
especially with the older one and the 5-year-old. It might not be as deep as it gets, but we also desire them to understand that we live in a society where many things happen.
Right.
and we have different kinds of families.
Yeah.
And so one, you need to appreciate that you have a mom and dad.
Yeah.
You stay together in the same house and they love you.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you meet other children out there who don't have a father they stay with or a mother, it's a situation they went through. It doesn't mean that they're ostracized. They are different. It's how do you work with them? How do you grow with them? How do you work together? And every marriage has its own challenge. There is no marriage that is perfect.
Yeah.
And even marriages that some marriages that look like they're working, I think those people have deliberately decided that there are things we will work.
Yeah.
We come from marriages that some are abusive, some are broken, but you choose to say, with this, let's make amends.
Yeah.
And let's see how to work this so that it becomes better.
Yeah, maybe I can just add, I'm also a parent. I have 3 kids, married for
Wow.
13
Hey,
years.
everyone here, 333.
You're next. So, amen.
But with time.
With time, yeah.
Currently prospering at 0.
And I have a preteen, 11-year-old, 10 and 9,
Oh, nice.
So they're following each other. And what we do with the kids is basically we have what we call family meetings. So whereby we discuss at the beginning of the year, we said, what are your plans for this year? What are you hoping for? So I think making the kids being part of the conversation constantly, I think it's very important because they grow knowing that, people talk in the family. And if they fight a lot among themselves because they are very close, so we also use that opportunity to arbitrate, between them, and we help them how to deal with conflict.
Right.
Yeah, which is very important. So I think for me, those are the key components of a good marriage. Communication is really key because I see a lot of people who are coming, they're not communicating. They're communicating, but they are not really getting into what we call the meta communication. The implicit things, you say something, but you don't mean what you say.
Right.
There's a lot of confusion in the way people say things.
Yeah.
So really getting to that is very important. And then commitment is also key. Love is important, but and then there are times when people say, I don't feel
The love is gone.
I don't feel the love, But there are times, the love is a feeling, but also it's a choice.
Yeah,
When you're just getting married in your first year, it's a feeling. There's a lot of feelings, but with the times when you've been married for long, the feelings are kind of like gone kidogo.
Yeah.
So you make a choice that, what, I'm going to love this person and I'm going to stay with this person even if I don't feel it because
Right.
I've made that choice.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
okay.
there's also a very important aspect, and probably Pastor Jed will be able to explain to us better. I think it gets to a point where it's important to look back and look at for example, I come from a heavily polygamous family. All right? Probably my other grandfather was also heavily polygamous. So there's something in that line that is, it's working. So I think it's important sometimes just to look back and check out what happened.
Right.
What happened back then? So that is an opportunity for you now to start fixing things.
That's true.
And for me, I desire that now from my generation moving forward, I don't want some things that were back then to happen. So I think there's also an importance of checking that out.
Looking back.
Wow. Pastor.
Okay,
There
well,
is,
we're going to
honestly,
take
there
a
is,
short
yeah.
break. Philip, Anthony, and Jade, you guys are amazing. I actually saw somebody tweeting, asking us, are you married? You should be discussing this if you're married. Well, me and Nixxi are not married.
Not
but
even close.
in our panel, we have an expert who is a psychologist. We have a married man with 3 kids. We have a divorced woman with 3 kids. We have a pastor. You're seeing 2 people, but there's a lot going on here. Okay? So, guys, keep talking to us using the hashtag KTLifeandStyle. Answer the question whether you should stay in a difficult relationship for the sake of your children. See you after the break.